Welcome to Key Conversations, the podcast where we talk about all things that can help you level up your music career. This season, we are doing the 12 days of Amplify leading up to the holidays, highlighting successes of independent musicians that are part of the monthly mastermind Amplify. I hope you enjoy, and if you're a musician interested in joining, head to inthekey.co/amplify. Let's get started. Oh my gosh, we're back. Still day 10 of 12. The 12 days of Amplify. And today, or this evening, or this afternoon, or whenever you're listening to this, we're going to talk to Scott Sturgis. Hello, Scott. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Where in the world are you?
Well, I like to say my furniture is in Los Angeles and I'm in Florida. So the pandemic happened and I haven't gone back to LA since then. So I have a studio in LA and in Florida because most of my work is in Europe. So, and also in Nashville. So here is more convenient to go back and forth than that long flight from LA all the way to London, which is a killer. So.
Whoa. So tell us, what do you do that you've got studios and work all over the world here?
Well, I actually teach mixing and mastering and production at a school, but I mix and master for a living. And I like to tell people, especially in the Amplify group, I'm an accidental techno artist. I sort of accidentally fell into a career as a techno artist about a year ago.
I love that.
My techno market is in Europe mostly, so that's why I go there for that.
Got it. That makes sense. Very cool. So you as an artist are in the techno genre. Very cool. Mm-hmm. And then you also are a mastering engineer and mixing engineer, and you also teach mastering and mixing. So you're kind of wearing three of these hats here, as we like to call them. So many hats. Very
That's
cool.
Right.
Awesome. So you're mixing and mastering. That's with other artists?
Yes.
On their project?
I actually went to, when I got into this whole thing with engineering, I was producing other artists. When I got into the techno artists, because we have to turn out so much music so quickly, it's just impossible to rely on somebody else's schedule to mix and master your own tracks. And I was always lucky enough in LA to have a studio with an engineer where I was just like, oh, turn this knob, turn that up. And I didn't have to do it. So that was one of my excuses for not getting music done. So I took that excuse away and went and got a degree in it. So that's kind of how I started that whole process.
There you go. I love that. So let's talk about this year. So this year, like you said, normally you live in LA, but pandemic stuck in Florida, decided to stick around and stay. So what's changed for you? How have you had to pivot?
And that's a good thing. I wanted to say one of the things I've been watching all of the different shows on and interviews on Amplify. And what I really noticed is there's a common theme. First of all, it's not been a disaster for Amplify artists because we learned the art of pivoting. To me, that's one of the key things is learning how when you hit a wall or an obstacle or whatever, it's the end of the road. It's just like, where's the next little piece of the maze that I have to go over, around, or under? So it changes the perspective. And I think takes away a sense that other people outside of, maybe even music are feeling a sense of hopelessness. We just don't feel that. There's been so much opportunity. So for me, the pivot has been, I've had so much music I've had to make for record labels that the business, just keeping up with the business side of it has been extremely difficult. So this year allowed me to say, okay, I've still got music, the record label stuff is happening. It's a little slower, but why don't I take this time to take advantage of Amplify and other courses and other things to really get the fundamentals of the business done. So that's what really changed for me is, in a way, it slowed things down enough for me to focus. And I'm not on the road traveling all the time. So I really got to focus on the stuff that I needed to focus on this year.
Cool. That's kind of neat that you had this backlog of stuff that you wanted to tackle that would eventually permeate all the work that you're doing. But you had so much work that you were doing that you were like, I can't do the back catalog, but I know that if I do it, I'll be able to do this work better or get more of it or something will shift. So that's really cool. Have you been able to implement some of the work you're doing so that you are seeing the other end of that? Or are you kind of still where are you right now in that whole process?
Well, part of the reason why I got an Amplify is I was just in a state of overwhelm because you see this master list of everything that has to be done. And, you feel like it all has to be done now,
Yeah.
So what Amplify has allowed me to do is sort of, I see it as a carousel, the stages as a carousel. So, or like you think of a Ferris wheel, something that where, kind of when they put riders on, you go around a little bit and you stop, and then you go around a little bit and you stop.
Yep.
So each time I'm in a different cycle, I pick the one thing that has to be done. I don't think about the 15 things, just the one, knowing that when I come back around again, I'll tackle the next one thing. So it's helped me get clarity that I haven't had before. And by setting my list up every day in a smaller sense for the one thing every day, I don't look at a list and I don't see a to-do list that goes from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday, because I have one thing to get done. And that has dealt with a lot of overwhelm. So I'm able to get more accomplished. So I'm ticking off the things on the list.
Oh my God, you don't have a list, but the list is getting done. That is super meta. And that's very Amplify, right? So for those of you that don't know, Amplify is a monthly mastermind for musicians who are in it for the long haul. There's a little link below if you want to check it out. There's all the info there. But I actually need to tell you that I have never heard and never thought of this idea of a Ferris wheel. Like I've thought of hamster wheels. I talk about my hamsters. Like there's lots of circle things going on in Amplify. The Ferris wheel is so good because it's like if you're at a carnival, most musicians are playing whack-a-mole, like trying to hit right? Like this super annoying little gopher and you're never hitting it. You're like putting so much energy and frustration into it. And so I think that is going to be an analogy that sticks around. And I think I'm going to bring in more games and I'm going to develop this theme park called the Music Career based on the idea that you gave me with the Ferris wheel. You get on, you do one thing, you come back around, next. So totally love that. No whack-a-mole in your life. Love that. Super great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really good. So it's helped me get clarity to plan for already into 2021, so that I feel that now as the request from record labels to release music comes at me, I'm no longer just like, yeah, but I have this to do. How can I get music done? I'm actually just into a place where I can do it and tackle a different challenge every day, every week.
I love that. So what do you want people to go do? That we're sharing the links and giving people some marching orders here. So where do you want to send people to hear your techno music? How can they find out about your mastering? All the things.
Well, the mastering website I'm redoing now, so that'll be up soon. But what I'm doing is I'm sending everybody to Instagram. My Instagram is The Lie Society. My artist name is Lie Society. And how that came about was I had another artist name, and my first track a year ago was going out into the labels, and I thought I'd done all my research. And the one place I really needed that song to appear, the label got back to me and said, that artist name is taken. You have 8 hours to come up with a new one. And so literally it was just going down through brainstorming and word combination. And then for techno, Lie Society just really, to me, embodied a lot about what the techno world is about standing up for something and calling out people for fake news and lies and that kind of stuff. So The Lie Society is the Instagram name. Great. And there is a link there in the bio that will take you to all of the relevant places. I would love people to follow me. That's where we'll keep most people up to date, is on Instagram. But also you can click in the link, which will take you to, if you want to listen to the music on Spotify, or if you want to go to Beatport and purchase the music, that link is there as well.
Amazing. You guys, we're going to Instagram.com/the LIE Society. And we're following. That's what we're doing. We're following, and then we're consuming all the things. So I am, this is super cool. You're so concise and you speak so articulately and clearly. It's kind of like, yeah, you're wearing multiple hats, but you don't sound like the typical person who's wearing multiple hats and is like frazzled, because that's the word that normally comes to mind when someone's talking about, well, I'm doing this and then I'm doing this and I have to deal with this and then I have kids and then like you have all the things going on, but you're just like, I'm here for this. And I feel like, I feel in good company here because I say, oh, yeah, I've got my choral composing and then I've got In the Key of Success and then I've got my artist stuff. And it's like, if you're clear on the projects, there's nothing wrong with multiple hats. It's just where is your time and energy going to that you want to get back? So right now, if you had to just move forward with one thing, what's the thing that's sort of front and center for you of all of the hats that you're wearing?
Considering I've already have three EPs signed to record labels for next year already. First quarter is already taken care of. I work a quarter ahead. So I will be starting first of the year into the second quarter of next year. But for me right now, it's finishing up the new website. That's what I'm going to finish the end of this year and get that down and all of the links and everything ready for that. So that's really the focus of what I'm going to be doing over the next 2 weeks. That's the main thing.
Very cool. Yeah, it's a little bit of phase 3, like admin, setup, prepare. I always like to think of phase 3 in this musician success cycle that we've talked a little bit about. It's sort of the foundation of Amplify, really owning where you're at. But it's, for me, I feel like you're done with phase 3 if 10,000 people come to your website. Will they all know what to do, and are you ready to receive them? That sort of thing. And sometimes it doesn't mean you need to be super fancy. Sometimes it just means here's one page and all I'm doing right now is collecting emails to grow my list because I'm in between projects. And it doesn't need to be this huge, big. And I think we sort of get caught up with 10,000 people. That's a huge number. That means you just need to be able to communicate to them what you're up to and what they can expect in the future. So whether that's through email or, if your genre and the way you work is on Instagram, or you go where your followers are. I'm an email person and I talk about email all the time, but I get that you're working on that. Yeah.
The email list is ready. It's just that you start working backwards and you go, but there needs to be a place for them to sign up. And that's the website, and everything goes back. So you sort of work to those pieces so that once the website's up, everything else behind the scenes is already done.
Yeah. I love that.
I want to give a shout out too, because I know people have said this all week long, but my Power Up Pod, the pups, they are just amazing. I played a joke with them this week because they did not see your last announcement. And I just said, Cheryl, the end of semester, Cheryl's switching up the pups and we have to change. And they just freaked out. So I said, but she said, we don't have to. So we're fiercely together. Our pups meet for about 2.5 hours every 2 weeks. And we literally break it down for each other. And our favorite thing is when somebody gets stuck, we're like, what would Cheryl say about this?
Oh my God, no way. I love it. Wow. I've been hearing so many. I didn't know. I gave the structure, like there's a guidebook for the pups, right? And there are different ways to coach each other. So you're not just giving advice or sort of imposing thoughts on someone else's issues. And there's a way to structure the call and there's suggestions, but then each pup really creates what that group of people need. And they don't know each other in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And you sort of, the idea was you get a pup for about 6 months. We work in semesters, right? I open enrollment twice a year. So we've got this 6-month thing. And I was like, let's just see how this works. This was the first time I've run it. And I'm hearing some pups meet for 15 minutes twice a week and others meet once a month. And you guys do, it sounds like a little work afternoon, whatever, twice a month. I mean, I'm just hearing all of these cool different structures that you guys have really settled into. And absolutely, as we are coming into inviting new people in, which I'm so excited about, I was like, I don't know if people have been using these. I see every single day people have been talking about their pups. I'm like, okay, we're definitely keeping the pups. We're definitely going to blow them out of the water. Maybe I'm going to start making surprise visits to some of your pup meetings. And I don't know, because I want to be in the pups. I'm so glad that they've become such support systems and the structure's working. And I love that you told them that I'm breaking them up. You couldn't get on a Zoom call on your own anyway, but that's amazing. I love that.
You gauge their loyalty that way. You see how loyal they are. They're like, yeah, we don't care. No, but ours are. And what's good is that we're not only a sounding board, but each of us have a different level of experience at a different place. So we give feedback to help that other person for what they're stuck on, and we give opinions. And whether it's website design or what do you think about this for a mailing list text, or what about my PR photo, or what's the best way to go about, negotiating the waters of a new release. So it's been really good. And like I said, they're 2 to 2.5 hour conversations.
That's
so
amazing. Really wow. Well, you've heard me say it almost every. I'm learning so much from getting these inside scoops and hearing what the wins are, which is kind of how I want to wrap up here. Is what do you think your biggest win of during this pandemic has actually been for you in your career?
The biggest win, really, I think, is learning to deal with unexpected curves. I think there's things that normally come, in life, you submit to a record label, you're prepared to hear nothing or hear a no or whatever. That's just the nature of our business. But when you're planning all these big events, I was supposed to be in Amsterdam and, variety of things happening. And then all of a sudden, all those things you plan to further your career just shut down. I think the biggest thing is to learn how to think quick on your feet and not to let those walls that just came up be obstacles. They're just something to work around or with or whatever. And I think to me, that's been the biggest thing is no matter what happens in your career and life, don't look at it as a final statement. Just figure out, calm down, take a deep breath, and start thinking about how do I tunnel under this? How do I go over it? How do I go around this obstacle? Because it is just an obstacle. It's not going to be there forever.
Oof. That's some good stuff right there. And it's so true. And like, what a hopeful statement. It is, you're going through, a lot of people say, well, it is what it is. I've really been loving this quote. It is what it is becoming. Because one thing is constant in the world is everything's changing. Like on a molecular level, like change is constant. So it's never it is what it is because it's always moving. So it is what it is becoming. And I feel like that's just takes away the edge and the harshness of it is what it is. I have no power here, and just being able to say, yeah, let's go with the flow here, but do it intentionally and powerfully and with support. So.
And I want to say one more thing, because we talk about champagne wins all the time. One of the things that I really sort of came to this vision, I guess, this year with is about champagne wins. It was me getting down that list instead of the list being this and not having a list. But I do have a list every day, and it's that one champagne win for the day. It's the big thing for the day. But what I had this realization about was don't finish it. Don't check it off your list and say, okay, now what else can I do? Take the time to celebrate that you completed it. Celebrate that win and thoroughly savor that you completed what you had to do for that day. Just don't toss it away so quickly, because that is what gives us fulfillment and satisfaction.
Yeah.
Take the time to savor that you got the win, not like, okay, I got that done, but what's next? Because that's not savoring the win. And that starts to build that anxiety, and you're piling the list back on again, the anti-list. So just savor that one thing for the day that you said you were going to do. When you finish it, savor it, celebrate it, and, take the time to enjoy it, and then take the next step.
Oh, I love that. Actually acknowledging the wins, and a win can just be that you finished a thing, and like, pause. The pause is so important. And that comes from someone who has such a hard time pausing. And taking a breath and acknowledging I'm constantly what's next. So that is really beautiful. I've been saying this to everyone because but I truly, truly believe it. We are very lucky to have you. You are, you're such a strong force in this group. And like, there's a jolliness. Anytime I see your face pop up in the Zoom calls, I'm like, yay, Scott's here. So, it's always a joy to talk to you. You're kicking butt, and it's really neat to learn this about you. Everyone, we are going to Instagram, The Lie Society, and we're going to follow and obsess over all the things there, which is so exciting. And, just continue to follow your very cool career that you've got going on. So thanks for doing this, and really appreciate it.
It was fun, Cheryl. Thanks. And I'm so grateful to be a part of Amplify. I think it's been an amazing experience, and I can't wait for the next semester.
Yay. New people. Yay. All right. I'll see you later.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Well, that's it for today's 12 Days of Amplify session. Thank you so much for listening. And if you are a musician and you're like, yes, I need to be part of this community, go to inthekey.co/amplify. I will see you there.